Hello, my name is Faizi Fatehi, the CEO of Corent Technology, and I want to thank Microsoft for this opportunity to share with the audience about our SaaSOps or SaaS operating system. Let me start by sharing the good news that this presentation will be short and to the point. Uh, the whole purpose of the presentation is to show you how every software vendor, SaaS provider can save 3 years of development by using SaaSOps on an ongoing basis. SaaSOps is known as the next-gen plug-and-play SaaS delivery automation platform, a new generation of automating the delivery, the enablement, and the operation of SaaS. What SaaSOps does within days and without coding, it transforms a non-SaaS software application into a highly automated SaaS. Believe it or not, it elevates existing SaaS applications to next-gen SaaS 2.0, and it also publishes application onto Azure cloud marketplaces, saving months to years of coding and ongoing maintenance. That is really the bottom line. The rest of this presentation is supporting slides for the statements here: transforming a non-SaaS to SaaS, elevating existing SaaS to SaaS 2.0, and then publishing application to Azure Marketplace in an automated fashion. In addition, Corent's platform also automates the SaaS provider's transition to a robust, scalable technology stack above and beyond becoming a robust SaaS delivery mechanism. So it automates the modernization of applications such as moving to microservices and PaaS services like database as a service. It automates the replatforming of applications if needed. For example, CentOS, a very popular operating system, is coming to end of life. It automatically moves it to Ubuntu or Red Hat Enterprise license. For example, containerization, automatically containerize applications that are server-based and running on virtual machines and automatically deploy them to Kubernetes, such as AKS, EKS, and OpenShift. There is a big misnomer in the software industry that they believe as soon as you put your software on the cloud, it becomes SaaS. Well, the reality is there is significant amount of additional capabilities that are needed in order for software to become software as a service. And according to multiple research firms, it's at least 3 years of effort in order to get to a robust SaaS. And SaaSOps was developed to provide the as-a-service capabilities needed in order to deliver a software as a service in an efficient, scalable, and cost-effective way, saving people years of development and lots of ongoing maintenance of their software. At the high level, this is how it works. A lot of people ask us, how does it work? Well, your software, the green box, runs on the cloud independently, and then SaaSOps, what Corent provides, runs on the cloud independently. And then when you connect the two, your software becomes software as a service. So SaaSOps provides all the as-a-service capabilities, such as tenancy management, such as operations management, such as commercial management. Each of these would take years, months to develop and then to maintain by each software provider in order to make their software SaaS. And Corent SaaSOps provide them right away in a matter of connecting and configuring that you will see in the latter part of this presentation, screen by screen, how that works. This slide is designed to hit you in the face. These are some of the key capabilities that SaaSOps provides. So the question is not whether you're SaaS or you're not SaaS. The question is, how SaaSified is your SaaS? How SaaSOps elevated a born in the cloud SaaS to SaaS 2.0 is highlighted in the footnote to this slide. Some of you may be familiar with a company named MapR. They raised $280 million, including from Google Ventures, in order to develop their AI big data SaaS solution. At the end of the day, they succeeded in developing some of their capabilities very nicely. But at the end of the day, Corent was the one who finished the job by providing a la carte capabilities that they hadn't had time to develop, and they were running out of money. So we quickly plugged in the areas that you see in red, and they were acquired by Hewlett-Packard because then they had a viable SaaS solution. And in this slide, we have a link to the press release and so on to what happened here. So this is really the essence, that we SaaS enable a solution that is not SaaS by them picking up any of these capabilities you see on this page, and we elevate any existing SaaS solution like MapR to the next level of SaaS. And then, of course, any applications you want to run on Azure Marketplace, it's just a matter of an election on a configuration screen that you will see in the next section when Scott Chait, our Vice President, would show you the screenshots of how this works. The next few slides are industry validation behind what I just shared with you. These are a partial list of globally recognized applications that are SaaSified by SaaSOps. You recognize a lot of these logos and companies and the applications. The next slide, we are focusing on one of these applications, Mifos, microfinance open source, one of the leading fintech applications that was developed by IBM and VMware to help with underdeveloped areas of the world that needed microcredit and microfinance. It's a phenomenal application, except it was not SaaS. And because of that, it didn't get the traction around the world that was needed. So in collaboration with Microsoft, Corent used its SaaSOps to SaaS enable this phenomenal application that its goal is to democratize fintech around the world. We did it during the pandemic, and there is a link to this slide to the press release that went out, and now it's getting a lot more traction around the world. So SaaSOps was the missing link for this application to achieve its mission and goal around the world. By the way, we'll present you with an email address, and it's probably in your chat window. If you ask for these slides, we would be happy to send you. Then you can click on any link, such as on Mifos press release and on MapR press release, and anything else that are in this presentation. We would be happy to send you the deck. These are some other sample SaaSOps customers that highlights 4 different areas of the SaaS industry we can address with SaaSOps. One is existing legacy ISV applications that are not SaaS, and we quickly SaaS enable them. One of them was Blue Stripe, that after we SaaS enabled them, Microsoft acquired Blue Stripe, but not before it was SaaSified by Corent, despite the fact that Microsoft Azure was using Blue Stripe to help optimize the performance of the Azure cloud. They didn't acquire them until they were SaaS enabled by Corent. Another one that I briefly mentioned before, MapR, it was partially SaaS enabled, but not completely. SaaSOps SaaS enabled them, and this was a born in the cloud, and then Hewlett-Packard Enterprise acquired them. A lot of people said, hey, my application is born in the cloud. I don't need SaaS enablement. By definition, we are SaaS, and nothing is close to reality than that. That's a misstatement and misnomer. And a great example is MapR. And then open source applications, which are just another application, but they happen to be open source. We don't discriminate against them. We talked about Mifos, and in collaboration with Microsoft Azure, We SaaS enabled it, and now it's available to the world, especially the underdeveloped world, to have access to a core banking, fintech, microfinance application. And finally, and to a lot of people, surprisingly, we can SaaS enable enterprise applications. An example is Boeing Parts Management Solution. And this is not for selling it to public, but it's just for different divisions, business units, entities within the corporation to use that application instead of every division, every business unit, every country, every location to install it and manage it just because they want to use the application. Only one entity does it. Because of SaaSOps, every other entity can subscribe to that application. 4 different categories of application that can be SaaS enabled by SaaSOps. This one is an ebook that Microsoft Azure team and Corent jointly published. It's a new path to SaaS. It's the automated way to get to SaaS rather than spending 3 years and millions of dollars to get to SaaS and then maintain it over time. So when you get this deck, you can click on the link and download the ebook as well. Some of you may know IDC. IDC is one of the top industry research firm in the IT arena. Recently, they published this report, which is a plug-and-play SaaS operations automation platform. Why not plug into SaaSOps and use it and try to develop it yourself? The same way that you don't go and develop your own database, you just use an existing database, or you don't build your own operating system, you just use Linux or Windows. The same way, if you want to deliver your software as a service, you plug in to an automated platform like SaaSOps rather than trying to build it yourself. One data point, some of you may be familiar with the Cody Awards. For the last 35 years, they have acted like the Academy Awards, but for the software industry. Last year, we were honored to be one of the 2 finalists for the best platform as a service of the year. And we were again honored that the Red Hat, the company that IBM acquired for $34 billion, their flagship product, OpenShift on Azure, was our competition in the final round, which is an honor by itself. But we were super humbled when SaaSOps was decided to be the winner and the best platform as a service of the year last year. Last but not least, Forbes Books, division of Forbes, published our book, Democratizing SaaS, Unleashing a Multi-Trillion-Dollar Industry by Empowering a New Generation of SaaS Entrepreneurs. In a sense, removing the barrier, 3 years and millions of dollars needed in order to turn your software into SaaS. This book is the story of how for the last 15, 20 years, we have been focusing on developing this SaaSOps so we can removing the barriers. Phenomenal, humbling testimonials from the president of Salesforce, from former president of IBM, CEO of Red Hat, and the CEO of technology group within Accenture, and the CEO of Accenture, and 27 others who have provided testimonial, including executives from Microsoft. Again, when you get this deck, you can click and read the rest. And again, when you get the deck, there's a 2-minute video. I can guarantee it's a fun video, but it summarizes everything that I said with some great music in the background. And this is my last slide. For a limited time, I should say, we have a complimentary assessment of your application for SaaSification and publishing on Azure Marketplace. You can take advantage of it if by July 7th, you simply drop us a note and just let us know that you're interested in it. As a matter of fact, as a CEO of the company, let me extend that to the end of July. Sometimes when you're a CEO, you have rights to make changes. Let's say by the end of July, if you get back to us, send an email to SaaS-marketizer@corentech.com. We would be happy to offer you a complimentary assessment of your application, working with our experts. And also feel free to send us any questions or requests for the slides to be sent to you. At this point, I end my part of presentation and hand it over to my colleague, Scott Chait, Vice President of Corent Technology, to show you how exactly we save you these 3 years and millions of dollars. Thank you.
Thank you, Daisy. Let me just get my sharing going here. So what I want to talk to you about today is basically the roadmap for this presentation, which is an overview, which we're going to talk about the 3 basic things that SaaSOps does. It enables making your software SaaS. It allows you to operate your SaaS provider business management, right? Because you're now, as a SaaS provider, you have to operate everything. And it talks about the subscribe aspect in terms of the tenant self-service experience and what you're providing to your customers. Let's start with enable. So making your software SaaS, and this can occur, believe it or not, in as little as an hour if all the prerequisites and things are collected ahead of time. And what are the actual requirements? Well, any application that can run in the cloud, we can SaaSify. Right? It can be a server-based application or a containerized architecture, it doesn't matter. It can be a single or a multi-tenant architecture. We can SaaSify any of those things, right? And our software will take yours and transform it into SaaS. We do this by getting started on the road to this journey. We go connect your SaaSOps to your software. And then SaaSOps scans that software to acquire it, and it looks at the software that's running on your cloud account and starts to look at the application details so that we can see what we can do with it. And this is a screenshot from inside SaaSOps, where we're actually looking at the starting point for doing this process, where we're going to be able to do the various steps that you need to do, which are looking at creating the deployments and blueprints and managing those and mapping out the subscriptions that you're going to need to have, and then the other features for managing later. Right? So you acquire a new deployment, and one of the first things you need to do and probably want to do is determine your tenancy model. And if the application's already multi-tenant, we can work with that, and we will work with your multi-tenancy that's already built into your application. If it's not multi-tenant, we can actually SaaSify it in that model and have a single application instance per tenant, and otherwise treat it as SaaS, which is very useful sometimes. And in some cases, we can take your application and do the transformation from single tenant to multi-tenant to actually make your application into a multi-tenant SaaS. So you've got various options that you can do, and then as you decide that, then the next steps are around generating the blueprints and configuration that you're going to need in terms of how you're going to deploy that, because you have to think about how you're going to deploy that on the cloud so that you're going to have a scalable SaaS application environment for your subscribers to connect to. And then, of course, one of the key things you want to do is define your subscription plans, which is goes naming them and describing them so that people can read about it and find out. And we have a whole rich text interface for you to create all that. And then the ability to select, where is it going to be published? Just on my own website, or do you want to publish this to Azure? And this is part of our, what we call our marketizer aspect that we talk about sometimes. If you want to be published on the Azure Marketplace, you can use this, and this will save you a lot of effort and work that it would take to actually connect your application successfully to the marketplace to actually act as SaaS. You're also want to define the subscription plans, things like, is the subscription going to be public or private? Is it going to be active right away, or we're just saving this until we get ready to actually make this an offering? We can look at which deployment versions. So we talked about the idea you could have a single tenant version or a multi-tenant version. So if somebody has a customized version, you could have a separate deployment and a private subscription for them, so they could have a private thing. And this ability to mix and match and deliver SaaS in different modes and different tenancy modes and different deployment modes in different geographies and regions around the world is really a very flexible aspect of SaaSOps that gives you a lot of freedom. And you can then, of course, set pricing and trial details, like is there a setup fee? Is there a recurring fee? What currency is this in? Is it a monthly or annual contract? All those kind of things. And one of the key things about SaaSOps is we have included a SaaSOps, a very sophisticated monitoring and metering system that allows you to create usage-based billing. That you can add that. So you can get micro billing or usage-based billing added into your subscriptions that can be based on things like cloud resources used, like storage gigabytes used, or could be based on transactional things in your application, like number of users or number of actual transactions, like houses for sale or bank accounts or checks written or whatever it is your application is doing. So it gives you a lot of power. And all this is all configurable with our complete SaaS metering system. And then one of the things you're always going to have to do is communicate. And we've got a series of email templates for all of the typical kinds of events that occur in a SaaS environment. Some of those events are to the SaaS provider, and many of them are to the subscribers. And you want to be able to communicate with them and automate a lot of that process. And we also do the ability to customize and brand those email templates. And as you can see, our customer here, MyEKC, is a customer of ours that had an application in-house that they went and decided that other people wanted to use. So they asked us to SaaSify it, and we did that. And they're letting us actually use that as a showcase to show how we did this for customers. So these can be all rich text and makes for a nicer customer experience with branded communications. And then one of the things you want to do as a SaaS provider, when you register new tenants coming in, you want to trigger certain events and things that are going to happen when that goes on, and you're going to actually want to collect certain amounts of information. We have a set of fields that you can use, and you can make them mandatory or not. You can have default values or not. You can add custom fields, and you can change the order of them. So you can get a registration package for your subscribers that lets you collect the information you need to then be able to deal with them as customers. So there you are. In no time, virtually, your software is SaaSified. And that's the enable section of SaaSOps. The next section is operate. So as SaaS providers, you need to manage your SaaS operations. And of course, you'd like to do that in as fully automated a fashion as you can. So SaaSOps is the SaaS provider's operations portal, really. The SaaS provider can come in to do this. And remember, SaaSOps itself is a multi-tenant SaaS application running on Azure right now. So the SaaS provider is a customer of ours, one of our subscribers, and they get to log in and see all of these things. They get tenant management, operations management, and continuous evolution, because your application probably doesn't stay static. You're going to make improvements to it. You're going to do updates. You're going to make different offerings. You're going to probably want to change the way it's deployed in the cloud to maybe to take advantage of other cloud services. So all of that stuff evolves, and we try to provide systems to help you with all of that. But first, you've got to log on to your custom branded SaaSOps portal, and then you can look at things like tenants. Your tenants list shows you who's logged on, or who's subscribed rather, what marketplace they subscribe from, what application they've subscribed to, what subscription they're using, are they active, and their status. And you can do actions like deactivate them and other actions from here, and link in to get more details. You can actually customize and review the various tenant reports we have on things like invoice summaries, transaction reports, and tenant details, and create your own customized reports. You can manage your subscriptions. You might want to add more subscriptions as you go on, or change some of the way those things, or update your prices. And you want to be able to do all those things in a way that gives you control. And then one of the things you want to do is look at and review your application business info. Who are the tenants that are logging on? What are the metrics about increases in tenants over time? What are the revenue metrics over time? Where are these tenants located in the world? Where are they signing up? Right? You want to look at your application environment, right? Your what clusters and cloud usage are you doing? What resources are you using? You can look at our resource advisories, where we actually look at what you're using and make advisories on what you might do to save cost, right, in running your application. You can look at the details of your infrastructure, on where VMs and flavors you're using, the distribution of VMs and disk allocations and things like that, to keep your an eye on your environment. Right? You can analyze in detail your cloud resource usage to see what kind of cloud services you're using and what they're costing. You can review your overall cloud usage reports over time to see how that's evolving as you get more subscribers signing up. And you even give you a forecast for next month and a well-managed score to say, are we in line with what our forecast and our actual is? Are we managing this well? And then the real-time monitoring that you can do to see what's going on with your app in terms of the environment that it's running on. It's CPU and disk and other attributes that are running there in the cloud. And you can do all this for not just one application, but for multiple SaaS applications. So if you've got a suite of things that you're doing, you can have them all in this one portal that you've got, and look at one or the other and narrow in on that, or look at the overall picture to see your total view. You can manage variations of your application deployment. So you might actually have different versions, or this custom version we talked about for a private subscription, and you want to be able to manage those and manage the upgrades for those separately, for instance. And then when you look at the evolution of things, you want to look at decision driven options for modernizing your SaaS application, right? Just like anybody with a SaaS application that's running on the cloud, you want to look at your landscape every once in a while and say, hey, do I want to migrate from one thing to another? Do I want to re-architect something? Do I want to shift some workloads to PaaS services? Maybe shift to a private cloud. You might be using Azure HCI, Azure Stack. You might want to shift into using containers. So we've got advisories and ways to look at all of these things and then make decisions in terms of things like modernizing. Advisories might be end of life on certain OS, right? And we give you a ability to plan and design your upgrade for that, and then actually click and one-click upgrade and execute that modernization. Same with containers. You can say, hey, this looks like something that we could containerize, and we give you advisories on identifying and assessing which workloads we could do, and executing that modernization. PaaS advisories, like you might say that you're using a database server, and you might say, hey, maybe we can actually identify that we could use a DBaaS services for this, and execute that. And so we could execute a modernization like that would use more PaaS services from the cloud. And then automated infrastructure optimization, just looking at the overall infrastructure from a sort of FinOps and cost optimization module. We're looking at this in terms of what could you do to actually run your environment at less cost. Which, as a SaaS provider, that's good, because you're getting the same subscription revenue. If you can run it at less cost, that's great. So you can actually get some advisories on those, and many of those you can actually implement with a single click and the help of SaaSOps. But of course, cost isn't the only thing. You want to make sure that you have the performance that your customers need and expect for their subscriptions. So you can look at the details of this and see perhaps that one particular VM or a particular workload is using a lot of resources at particular times of the day or month, and you can start to look at some possible things that you can do to manage that and scale that in the direction that will make sure that your performance optimizations are met. So in summary, operating as the SaaS provider for the business management, you have complete business management in one portal. And the next thing is subscribe. How do your SaaS subscribers' experience go? Do they have easy self-service onboarding with a branded customer experience that makes it look like your application they're subscribing to? Yes, and our showcase examples that we're going to use for this is MyAKC. I've done a nice job of this with their application. Theirs is an application that people use to manage corporate information and processes and procedures. And a customer can come and find that application on the Azure Marketplace. And they've got a nice description here with screenshots and video that introduces people to this. And then customers can subscribe to MyAKC on the Azure Marketplace, the usual Marketplace way, hit the subscribe button, and away they go. Or they might have found this application on MyAKC's website itself, and they can actually buy it right from here and click one of those and pick the subscription that they want to buy and do that. But wherever they buy it from, SaaSOps provides this registration screen. And we talked about the registration configuration that you could do before. So this is the set of things that they wanted to collect from their subscribers and set up their terms and conditions, and it reviews what's their actual subscription they're subscribing to. And when they do this, this actually acts as the landing page for an Azure Marketplace subscription, but not only the landing page, but provides all the actual DevOps type connection that you need to actually make that onboarding process to that application work, right? So SaaSOps takes over and does all of that for you. So that's a lot of time and effort that you save as a thing. Now, if you're a subscriber, you need to pay for this application. So we give you the ability to pay by credit card or ACH or other options, or pay by invoice, and the SaaS provider can decide how they want to do that. And of course, if they're buying from Azure Marketplace, they can skip this step and they don't have to present this because Azure just puts that bill on your Azure cloud bill. And then the subscriber gets directed to a whatever custom page that the SaaS provider wants them to say, thank you, welcome, here's some introductory thumb, and here's the next steps you can expect. And one of those next steps that they're going to expect is an email with the credentials. And as you can see, this is a nicely formatted, customized, branded email that you get from IAC, which has actually the custom URL that we've set up in the DNS, everything for them with a default user ID and password that they can log on and start to use this application and add application users to the app. And then, of course, they'll get an invoice if they've signed up not through Azure Marketplace. Otherwise, they'll get that just on their regular Azure bill. Now, one of the things that subscribers need to do, besides just subscribe and get going, is they need to manage that subscription over time. So they might need to, I need to review my invoices, or I need to upgrade my subscription from silver to gold, or maybe I need to update my credit card information, or manage the users that can actually do all those things, so they can do this. So SaaSOps provides a portal for the tenants that give them all that kind of information, that they only see their own specific tenant information. Right? And you can actually embed this in your own app, and MyAKC did that. So they actually embedded that portal feature into their app, which is very easy for them to do, just one menu option and a couple lines of code to do that. So this gives you all those capabilities right inside their app, which makes it even more seamless. So in summary, the subscribe aspects give you a branded self-service subscription management experience. So that's SaaSOps, the rapid SaaS enablement and operations automation platform. Gives you these three things: quickly makes your software into SaaS, provides a comprehensive management of the SaaS operations, and delivering an easy self-service onboarding process for subscribers. So now you've got a choice. You can build all this yourself or use SaaSOps. We're hoping you use SaaSOps. And here's our special offer: complimentary assessment of your application for SaaSification and publishing on Azure Marketplace. To take advantage of this, just send us an email to this link by July 31st, a real-time update there, and mention Microsoft Webinar. And also feel free to send us any questions or a request for the slide deck to the same address. Thank you.